The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the tuning app onto your mobile phone today and catch up on all the latest news from HitzAfrik Radio. Broadcasting live on modern Ghana and our website www.hitsafrikradio.org. HitzAfrik Radio News Hour live. The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the tuning app onto your mobile phone today and catch up on all the latest news from HitzAfrik Radio. Broadcasting live on modern Ghana and our website www.hitsafrikradio.org. HitzAfrik Radio News Hour live.
Good evening. It's exactly 19 hours in the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Log on to www.hitsafrikradio.org. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at HitzAfrik Radio. I'm your uncle this evening, Abna Ahuni. Stay tuned as I bring you the news headlines. President Akufo-Addo is 77 years today. 2 persons drawn at Ejiamwa in a stream. Ghanaian men are stingy compared to Nigerian men. These and many other stories I bring your way this evening. Stay tuned as I bring you the news in details. President Akufo-Addo is 77 years old today. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is 77 today. Today, Monday, March 29, 2021, marks the 77th birthday of Ghana's current president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, born in 1944 to Edward and Edlina Akufo-Addo in Accra. Nana Addo has for the major part of his life been a politician who has gone through Ghana's political landscape as a member of parliament and a holder of various ministerial portfolios before and eventually becoming president of Ghana in 2017. Between 2001 and 2007, served as cabinet minister, attorney general and minister for justice, and later as foreign minister during the John Kofi Agyekum Kufuor government. His presidential bid, however, started in 1988 when he contested and lost the NPP flag bearership to former President Kufuor. Nana Addo won the NPP presidential candidate slot for the 2008 elections, but lost the general election that year. And in 2012, he subsequently won the presidency on his third attempt in 2016 and had since had his mandate renewed for a second and final term after the 2020 presidential election. As president and an accomplished politician, President Akufo-Addo's birthday has always been marked with a lot of wishes from several prominent and regular Ghanaians, as well as foreign diplomats. In other stories, 2 persons drowned in a stream at Ejiamwa. 2 persons have drowned in a stream at Ejiamwa, a community in Kwewu East district of the Eastern region. The bodies of the deceased persons, Ernest Ainchi, a 40-year-old mobile money distributor, and a yet-to-be-identified 14-year-old boy who have been retrieved and deposited at the morgue. The incident occurred on Saturday, 27th of March 2021. A witness claimed Ernest Ainchi went to the stream to wash his car, but while attempting to save the 14-year-old boy, alleged to be mentally deranged from drowning, both unfortunately drowned in the 8-feet deep stream. Their bodies were retrieved at about 10 o'clock p.m. on that fateful day by the community members and deposited at Etibie Government Hospital. Assembly member for the area, Osei Bonsu, stated that 4 residents have drowned in the stream since the year 2015. In other stories, decent employment and higher incomes can protect women against domestic violence. Women who earn higher incomes than their spouses are less likely to suffer intimate partnership violence (IPV) in Ghana. A newly study by researchers at the Department of Economics of the University of Ghana has found. The study, titled The Effect of Differential Spousal Earnings on Domestic Work and Intimate Partner Abuse in Ghana, notes that higher earnings relative to their spouses are an important factor for reducing women's domestic work and childcare burdens and for protecting women against intimate partner violence. Women's higher relative earnings are found to be a protective shield against spousal abuse. The study noted, pointing out that men are more likely to recognize the benefits of an additional household income and place increased value on their wives, leading to a lower likelihood of intimate partner violence. It states further that a woman who fulfills her obligations with regards to her contributions to the household may also enjoy greater confidence, allowing her to negotiate positive outcomes in her relationship. The study also adds that another reason why higher earnings may be protective against IPV is that it likely provides a woman with the financial ability to exist an abusive relationship. Women's prospects of being employed in high earnings jobs will be improved with the acquisition of skills training, particularly in digital skills, financial and business literacy. Funded jointly by the Institute of Labour Economics (IZA) and the UK Government Department for International Development (DFID), the study called for widespread education to change social and cultural expectations that burden women with domestic work. According to the study, cultural norms and expectations also play a significant role in the distribution of domestic and care work within the household. Early socialization of boys and girls to carry out domestic work equally within Ghanaian households would go a long way to contributing to changing social norms and lessen the burden of women in the Ghanaian society. Men and women should be socialized to appreciate the need for cooperation in carrying out domestic and childcare responsibilities within the household. The study indicated that traditionally, gendered roles which place a heavy domestic work burden on women, combined with women's increased roles in the labor market, have adverse implications for their health and economic well-being. In almost all countries around the world, women and girls spend more time on domestic work and childcare than do men and boys. The unequal distribution of domestic work between women and men is greater in developing countries such as Ghana. A consequence of women's domestic care burden is that they are time constrained, leading to limited opportunities to engage in paid work and earn incomes, a situation which can limit their bargaining and decision-making power within the household. Furthermore, because women are largely responsible for domestic work and childcare, they face reduced opportunities for training and educational pursuits. The combination of engagement in income-earning activities and domestic work is tantamount to a double work shift for women. This can put their health at risk. Coupled with the increasing incidence of intimate partner violence (IPV) in Ghana, this situation can have deleterious effects on the affected women's physical and mental welfare. In other stories, use advocacy to solve health-related problems. The Hope for Future Generations, in partnership with the WACI Health Initiative, has ended a long-year project for youth leaders from 10 regions of malaria prevention and containment. The project dubbed Youth Leadership for Health Initiative YLA4 as a joint program funded by Resort UK. The youth leaders were given skills and knowledge of how to prevent and contain malaria to reduce the impact of the disease burden in their respective communities. The project was implemented in 2 other West African countries and sought to bring young leaders together to solve trending health issues in their communities and regions using the skills they had acquired. The Deputy Director General of Ghana Health Service, Dr. Anthony Ofosu, urged the young leaders to use their acquired advocacy skills to impact their communities positively. You have been equipped with strong skills, and it is important that you use those skills to develop your communities and impact lives, as that is the only way you can be part of the solutions you seek for, he charged them. Use your skills in the way that can be part of the solutions you seek for, he charged them. Use your skills of advocacy to solve other health-related issues and not only malaria. Use the network access that you have created across the globe in the period of your training effectively to touch the lives of the people around you. That is the only true definition of happiness and fulfillment in life. And together with your knowledge, malaria and other common health issues can be eradicated, he added. The Executive Director of Hope for Future Generations, Mrs. Cecilia Sanu, urged the participants to keep up the discipline that had guided their work since the implementation of the project in January 2020 and urged them to recruit more youth to partake in the project. She added that as the world responded to COVID-19, the young leaders must ensure that critical work of fighting malaria was not disrupted, saying that was their first call in health-related issues. The Deputy Program Manager for the National Malaria Control Program, Mr. James Frempong, also encouraged the participants to always call on the relative authorities for health issues when the need arose. A participant from the Western region, Lucky Soglu, said he had been able to solve the issue of sanitation facing his community using the skills he acquired from the training. Jennifer L. Gia, a participant from the Bono region, also stated that she had been able to help solve the increase of malaria cases in her community by educating the people to avoid certain practices that promoted malaria infections. Youth Leaders for Health Initiative is a joint project by WACI Health Initiative and Hope for Future Generations, funded by Result UK. This one-year leadership development program amplifies the voices of 25 youth advocates from Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Tanzania, who are passionate about health and healthcare systems and are advocating policy change at key national, regional, and global advocacy moments. The aim is to influence decision makers during a range of pivotal moments to help accelerate progress to end malaria and strengthen health systems in these countries globally. In other stories, ISSER calls for strategy on debt reduction. The Institute for Statistical, Social, and Economic Research, ISER, has called on the government to develop a strategy to reduce the debt stock for sustainable levels. The Research Institute of the University of Ghana said, with debt hitting 296.1 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent to 76.1% of gross domestic product (GDP) in December last year, The stock was unsustainable and measures to slow down growth must be prioritized. The director of ISSER, Professor Peter Corte, said at the Institute's post-budget review forum last Tuesday that the institution required a serious commitment and effort to help mitigate the repercussions of the economy. The ISSER post-budget review is an annual event to assess the budget, critique the policies and programs proposed and other alternatives to the government. The managing director of the Agricultural Development Bank, ADB, Dr. John Kofi Mensah, chaired the program. He said, beyond putting the country in a cyclical borrowing situation, the high debt level was consuming almost half of revenue and grants, leaving insufficient funds to pay wages, fund statutory allocations, and support new projects. We have a higher debt to GDP ratio, and it has been worsened by the COVID-19. We need strategies to bring it down to sustainable levels. We are at a point where debt service as a ratio of GDP is at 49.5%, close to 50%. That is unsustainable, and we have to find ways to get around it, Professor Corte, who is a professor of economics, said. The ISSER director said an analysis of the budget showed that three expenditure items, interest payments, transfers to statutory funds, and wages and salaries accounted for more than 101% of the projected total revenue and grants for the year. That, he said, showed that there was limited fiscal space for the government to maneuver, hence the need to ensure that the country arrested the debt growth to help lower the interest payment budget. In the 2001 budget statement, interest payment was estimated to end the year at 35.9 billion Ghana cedis, 8.3% of GDP, about 65% more than the 21.7 billion Ghana cedis, 5.4% of GDP recorded last year. In addition to the need to bring down the debt, Professor Corte said workers must be moderate in their demands for higher pay. He said any increment in wages must reflect changes in marginal activity, else it will be inflationary and counterproductive. The former head of the economics department of the University of Ghana said the team at ISER had, therefore, concluded that workers must be moderate with wage increases in the medium term. We should not, as Ghanaians, be quick to jump on the streets asking for higher wages. Our demands and negotiations should be based on cost of living differentials and improvements in productivity. These should be the reasons to justify any increases, he added. Turning his attention to revenue, the ISSER director expressed the hope that Ghana Revenue Authority (GRA) will step up efforts to increase revenue mobilization to help fund pressing expenditure. Professor Corte also called for a holistic review of the tax exemptions regime in the country to save funds for national development. We have to review tax exemptions regime. Tax exemptions are killing this country and we are to review them, he added. Moving on to other stories, LGBTQ Ghana pushing harder as 22 arrested for organizing lesbian wedding in the Eastern region. 22 persons, including 6 men, have been arrested at Kwehu Obomin in the Eastern region for allegedly holding a marriage ceremony between 2 females at a popular LGBTQI joint in the community. A local journalist in the area, Okwekuhima PSA Ifiapukia, who spoke with Ghana Web's Michael Obeteyi, said she was informed from a source within the Kwehu Obomi Palace around 10 p.m. Saturday night that some persons purportedly belonging to the LGBTQI group were holding a marriage ceremony for two ladies at a popular location in the community. The venue, Ghana Web Lens, was well decorated with a huge wedding cake on standby to be cut for the event. Narrating the incident, she said a pastor couldn't immediately be identified as a member of the group or otherwise officiated the same-sex marriage before other members of the group in the inner quarters of the house. They then proceeded to the premises of the house for the party. According to the journalist, the group present for the same-sex marriage numbered about 50. Also, another ceremony was expected to take place at 12 midnight. I had information that some people suspected to be gays and lesbians were having a party and named the party birthday party, and they had planned to have a Efia told Ghana Web. Moving on to other African stories in Kenya. Barack Obama's step-granny dies in Kenya, aged 99. The step-grandmother of former U.S. President Barack Obama died at a hospital in Kenya. Her relatives said on Monday. Sarah Obama was believed to be at 99 years. The reason for her death was not disclosed. It is true she has gone to be with the Lord. She passed on this morning, said an emotional Masat Onyango, her daughter. Sarah Obama, popularly known as Mama Sarah, has been admitted to the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital in Kisumu. Family spokesperson Sheikh Musa Ismail said she had been unwell for a week but had tested negative for COVID-19. He said the former president had sent his condolences. She was the second wife of President Obama's grandfather, Hussein Onyango Obama, a herbalist and a village elder who fought for the British in Burma, now called Myanmar. She helped raise the former president's father. The family is part of Kenya's Luo ethnic group. She will be remembered as a philanthropist who promoted education for girls and orphans and even raised some orphans in her home. The Mama Sarah Obama Foundation helped provide food and education to children who lost their parents. President Obama often showed affection toward her and referred to her as Granny in his memoir, Dreams from My Father. He described meeting her during his 1988 trip to his father's homeland and their initial awkwardness as they struggled to communicate but developed into a warm bond. She attended his first inauguration as president in 2009. Later, Obama spoke about his grandmother again in his September 2014 speech to the United Nations General Assembly. After leaving office, he traveled to her home in the village of Kogelo in 2018, joking he had been unable to do so in 2015 as his jet was too big to land in Kisumu. Obama is linked to his Kenyan family via his father Barack Sr., a pipe-smoking economist who Obama has admitted he never truly knew. Details on preparations for her burial will be announced later, said her daughter. Sarah Obama was a Muslim, and it's not clear whether she will be buried according to her faith practices that dictate she should be buried within 24 hours of death. Moving on to other stories, in Tanzania. New Tanzania president fires Port Authority boss over graft allegations. The newly sworn-in Tanzania's president, Samia Suluhu Al-Hassan, has suspended the director of the country's port authority over massive embezzlement of public funds. Tanzania Port Authority (TPA) Director General George Jitit Kakoko was adversely mentioned in a report of the Comptroller and Auditor General (CAG). But from the report that you submitted to me yesterday, at least $3.6 billion had been embezzled at the TPA. When the Prime Minister conducted a probe, we only managed fire junior staff. I now order the suspension of the TPA Director General to pave way for investigations into the embezzlement, she said. President Suluhu took the decision to fire him just days after being sworn in as the head of state following the death of former President John Pombe Magufuli. Suluhu had vowed to continue the strict legacy of former President Magufuli, who had zero tolerance towards corruption, incompetence, among other shortcomings. The president further ordered the Prevention and Combating of Corruption Bureau, PCCB, to urgently look into the claims. While receiving the report, President Suluhu issued a stern warning to other institutions mentioned in the report, including the Air Tanzania Company Limited, ATCL, that has adversely been mentioned in the report. Suluhu, 61, a soft-spoken ruling party stalwart from the island of Zanzibar, will finish Magufuli's second fifth-year term, set to run until 2025. While Suluhu says she will take over where Magufuli left off, hopes are high she will usher in a change in leadership style from her predecessor, nicknamed the Bulldozer, and all eyes will be on her handling of the pandemic. Magufuli leaves behind a complex legacy. His popular no-nonsense attitude and anti-graft stance marred by a swing to authoritarianism, in which he cracked down on the media, activists, and free speech. A ruling party stalwart was she named Magufuli's running mate in 2015 presidential campaign. The pair were re-elected in October last year in a disputed poll marred by allegations of irregularities. Hassan must consult the ruling Chama Chapidizuli, CCM, about appointing a new vice president. The party is yet to hold a special meeting of its central committee on Saturday. In other stories, Mozambican authorities vow to ensure normalcy to Palma after death attacks. Families waited at the Mozambican port on Sunday as boats arrived carrying people who had fled on ongoing violence from a strategic town in the country's north. Rebels fought Sunday for the fifth straight day to control the town of Palma, as reports came in that dozens of civilians had been killed and bodies were littering the streets. The fate of scores of foreign workers was also unknown. Many Palma residents ran into the dense tropical forest surrounding the town to escape the violence, according to Mozambican news reports. But a few hundred foreign workers in South Africa, Britain, and France clustered at hotels that quickly became targets for the rebel attacks. The town is where many contractors have been working for a multi-billion-dollar liquefied natural gas project by the French energy company Total. A teary-eyed Jules Abebe pleaded with journalists to help find his son, a worker at the Amarula Hotel, which was a reported target of the violent attacks. An estimated 200 foreign workers were at the Hotel Amarula. On Saturday, a band of them in 17 vehicles drove together to try to reach the beach where they hoped to be rescued. The convoy came under heavy fire and only 7 vehicles reached the beach, and several people in even those vehicles had been killed, according to local reports and messages sent by survivors. Abebe explained he and his family had previously fled violence in the country after rebel groups attacked the town of Makomia last year. He was among dozens of Pemba ports on Sunday, hoping to see their loved ones coming in on one of the boats that began arriving at the capital of Cabo Delgado province. Portuguese news agency Lusa reported that a fresh ship arrived at Pemba on Sunday morning, carrying around 1,000 people, many of them workers from French company Total. The rescued were then to be transported via buses to local shelters. Total has told LUSA the operations is going without any setbacks. The battle for Palmer Highlands and military and humanitarian crisis in the southern African nations on the Indian Ocean. The 3-year insurgency of the rebels, who are primarily disaffected young Muslim men in the northern Cabo Delgado province, has taken more than 2,600 lives and placed an estimated 670,000 people, according to the UN. Mozambique's government is expected to issue an update on the battle for Palma later on Sunday. Mozambique's rebels already hold the port town of Moquegua da Praia, 50 kilometers, 31 miles south of Palma, which they captured in August. Here lies the end of the local story. Stay tuned as I fetch you that foreign news.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV.
You're still logged on to HitzAfrik Radio and TV. You're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at HitzAfrik Radio. Now let's do some world news in the UK. Biden administration threatened tariffs on UK goods in tech tax roll. The US has warned it would put tariffs of up to 25% on a host of UK exports in retaliation for a UK tax on tech firms. Ceramics, makeup, overcoats, games consoles, and furniture could all be hit, according to a list published by the Biden administration. The duties are designed to raise $325 million, the amount of US believes the UK tax will raise from US tech companies. A UK government spokesperson said it wanted to make sure tech firms pay their fair share of tax. They added, should the US proceed to implement these measures, we will consider all options to defend UK interests and industry. Washington is pressing ahead with the action initiated under President Trump and has scheduled hearings on the list. It urges the recent introduced digital services tax, which taxes tech firms on their revenues, has unreasonable, discriminatory, and burdensome attributes. US suspend tariffs on single malt Scotch whiskey. Sunak urges US to back digital services tax. Facebook agrees to pay France £106 million in back taxes. Similar actions have proceeded against similar taxes in India, Australia, and Spain, but actions against the European Union as a whole was dropped. The US Section 301 action is designed to apply domestic political pressure within the UK and other countries over the imposition of such tax. The UK and US held talks about the digital services tax on 4th December. The UK government sources stressed that the tariff list was being seen as procedural rather than an escalation. The tariffs are now subject to the consultation in the US over the next few weeks. At the budget, the Office of Budget Responsibility calculated the digital services tax would raise £300 million in the current financial year and as much as £700 million in future years. Brought in last April in Texas is 2% the revenues, not profits of such engines, social media services, and online marketplaces which derive value from UK users. Moving on to other stories in China. Xinjiang cotton ban in self-defeating, China tells H&M. The Chinese government has warned clothing brand H&M it will not earn a penny in the country if it refuses to buy cotton from the Xinjiang region. X&M and other Western brands are facing a backlash in China after they expressed concern about the alleged use of forced labor in cotton production. China has been accused of forcing members of the mostly Muslim Uyghur minority to pick cotton in Xinjiang. China denies this, and in recent days, critical brands have faced boycotts. I don't think a company should politicize its economic behavior, said Gu Shijiang, a Xinjiang government spokesperson, at a news conference on Monday. Can H&M continue to make money in these Chinese markets? Not anymore. Mr. Su said the decision by some brands to stop buying Xinjiang clothing was not reasonable, comparing to lifting a stone to drop it on one's own feet. H&M has not yet responded to a request for comment from the BBC. The Chinese spokesman remarks cast doubt on the Swedish company's future in one of the world's largest markets. They also indicate Chinese government support for the recent Chinese customer boycott of products from H&M and other global retailers. Here lies the end of the foreign story. Stay tuned as I fetch you the entertainment news.
The News Hour. The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned.
You're still logged on to HitzAfrik Radio and TV. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at hitzafrikradio.org. Now let's do some entertainment news. At 77, you're retiring some people who are 17, 18 years your juniors. Black Rasta punches Akufo-Addo. Ghanaian media personality Black Rasta has punched President Nana Akufo-Addo over his recent forced retirement brouhaha. Black Rasta before the Privileges Committee of Parliament. The one-year contract elapsed on 20th February 2021, and therefore you are retired on that date. Accordingly, you are directed to hand over to Mr. Ernest Morte, the Finance Director of the authority, who shall act as Director General of the authority pending the appointment of Substantive Director General. You are further directed to proceed to collect any terminal benefits or facilities due to you under relevant law, he added. Reacting to this, Black Rasta said 77-year-old President Akufo-Addo must be told that he is tired and must retire. He told Class FM on Monday 29th, who has more limbs than the sleeping President Akufo-Addo. He is a president who sleeps unprovoked. They are ashamed to tell him in the face that, Mr. President, you are tired. At 77 years, you are retiring some people who are 17, 18 years, your juniors, he observed, adding, I mean, you look at Ghana and you ask yourself, are we going forward or retrogressing? In other stories, Nana Ama McBrown, Israel Laye, Reggie Rockstone named in first batch of COVID-19 Trust Fund. Some Ghanaian celebrities have been appointed as ambassadors to the COVID-19 Natural Trust Fund to assist the Board of Trustees in creating awareness about the COVID-19 protocols and raising funds to support infected and affected persons in the current global pandemic. Nana Ama McBrown, Israel Laye, Reg Rockstone, named in first batch of COVID-19 Trust Fund ambassadors, broadcasters Laye Israel and Abeku Agre Santana, actress Emilia Brobe, and music legend Reggie Rockstone. The responsibilities of the ambassadors are clear-cut. The sources added that the ambassadors are tasked to participate in public affairs of the trust fund, including fundraising and resource mobilization activities, sensitization campaigns, community engagement, advertisement, and promotional programs. In furtherance of the effort to promote the trust fund, the ambassadors are to come up with initiatives and organize programs, activities, and effects to help market and promote trust fund, particularly fundraisers and educational programs on vaccination and adherence to the COVID-19 protocols. Wearing masks, social distancing, regular hand washing with soap and running water, use of hand sanitizers, among others. It is also highly important to state that the ambassador's work is voluntary and non-political or partisan. Moving on to other stories, Ghanaian men are stingy as compared to Nigerian men. Fatima updates rash reviews. Fatima of famous Ghanaian show aired on TV3, Date Rash, has said that when it comes to selecting a man as a life partner, Ghanaian men are not the best. Speaking in an interview, Fatima stated that she prefers to be in a relationship with a Nigerian man than a Ghanaian man. According to her, she will select Nigerian men over Ghanaian men because they are hardworking, romantic, caring, and Ghanaian men are stingy. This has got some Ghanaian firing her over a comment they consider as weird. Moving on to other stories. You are never going to make it as a singer. Seisei dragged on social media for ridiculing contestants on Nigeria Idol. Popular Nigerian singer and actress Deborah Oluwaseyi, known in showbiz as Seisei, has been dragged on social media after she intentionally ridiculed a contestant on the Nigeria Idol show. Seisei, in a video that is going viral, took no time in thrashing the performance of a 17-year-old aspiring singer, telling him, "You are never going to make it as a singer." According to Seisei, the young boy should have had auditioned for the show at all. Even though he has a singing voice, his performance was terrible. Somebody lied to you. Somebody told you to come here and audition. You should go back and tell them that they aren't your friends because that was not a good audition. You have a sweet talking voice and it comes out in your singing voice, but your performance is terrible. You are never going to make money being a singer. I love you and you are so sweet, but you are not a singer. You are not a singer. For songwriting, hit me up. We could talk about that singing. It is not going to work. Sorry, darling, Selishe said. In addition, she told that the kid can never make money from singing. Her comment infuriated social media users who took to Twitter to vent their anger on the musician. Here lies the end of the stories for this evening. Stay tuned as I bring you a recap of today's headlines. You're still logged on to HitzAfrik Radio and TV. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at HitzAfrik Radio. Now let's do the headlines of tonight's stories. President Akufo-Addo is 77 years today. 2 persons drawn at Ejima in a stream. Ghanaian men are stingy compared to Nigerian women, says Fatima. These and many other stories I brought your way this evening. My name is Abina Ahine. Stay tuned for more music and have some good evening.